This wind has prompted a rescue, and a pretty significant one. The mayor of Riviera Beach, Florida, in this county, Palm Beach County, has told us, his name is Thomas Masters, he has told us that the Stony Brook apartment complex in Riviera Beach had the roofs ripped off two apartment units of that complex. They had to get first responders in there in these conditions and rescue at least 50 people. 50 people pulled out of those apartment units, the Stony Brook apartments in Riviera Beach. Thomas Masters said that he himself went over there along with the fire and the police department and went door to door, to get people out of there. Luckily, they got at least 50 people out. They got them safely to a shelter, including several small children, and there were no injuries. But again, the intensity of this
7 feet of water in an hour and a half, because once the winds, instead of blowing into the Gulf, turned around and came back inland, all of a sudden it pushed out the water, or pushed in the water that it pushed out earlier on in the day. So that is why overnight we have to keep our guard up. A lot of folks who are in flood zones have already evacuated anyway, so they're probably going to be okay. There's still that tornado watch in effect until midnight. I think it'll be extended, but it is interesting that we have all the tornado warnings in the last hour or two have been over on the East Coast. But once the center passes north, those bands that will come back around, I think, will be re-energized in the Gulf, and there's still a chance we could see some decent rainfall totals out of those. And at that point, I think flooding we would see, because instead of a dry lake bed or a dry bay, all the water has been pushed back in, and then there won't be any place for that rainwater to go. Right now, it's got all it needs to. It goes into the ground. There's no water there. But that's what causes our flooding. The heavy rain, yes, but the fact that there's no place for it to drain. When there's an onshore flow, it pushes the water back in. So if something's trying to drain, it can't. And that's why I think later tonight, after the center passes, between about 2 a.m. and tomorrow morning, we are going to hear more reports of flooding. And we're still going to have to look at the possibility of surge, where there is still surge warnings in effect. So right now, we're about a half hour away from a new advisory. We get an updated track at 11 o'clock. The track at this point is meaningless. We know where it's going. It's going from south to north. We've got some This is outside the station right now, where winds have been gusting steady between about 50, 55 in some cases. Sean seemed to think it may be even a little bit higher than that. But obviously, we're talking about some very heavy wind. But if this were to continue, and we wouldn't see more than, I think I saw one report of 80-mile-an-hour gusts in Highlands County. So as the storm goes north, you would think the reports of the higher gusts would start to come down just a little bit. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Go look at some new stuff that's coming in, see if there's any changes on the surge issue, because those are still the two biggest issues for me. One, the surge, and two, the winds that continue to come in around the eye, around the center, and that'll be mostly Hardee, DeSoto, and Polk County over the next several hours, guys.